This is AI.R. Artists in Residence Broadcasting, coming to you once a week from New York City.
I have an important subject to talk to you about. This is John Cullum.
I'm Emily's husband.
And I am Emily Frankel.
That's right.
And we're going to make posts today for
What?
my blog, M's Talk.
Oh, yes.
Okay. The subject that I want to talk about is homegrown terrorists.
Well,
Kids that grow up here in America and know the beauty of America and want to destroy us.
Well, that is a...
How does that happen?
All I know is that, I was in Oklahoma City the day before the bombing, and I flew back to Seattle to finish off the northern exposure. And then that occurred that day, and I had to come back to Oklahoma City the day after the bombing. And it was very interesting to me that everybody there that I talked to when I got back, they were in shock, probably. But they all thought, including the people, the newspapers and the radio commentators, that it was outside sources. Somebody from across the sea had done it. And of course, it turned out to be a homegrown terrorist.
Timothy McVeigh.
Right. And they're the most difficult and insidious types of people to discover and to stop that we have. And you've touched on a point that is why do they occur? Who are they? Where do they come from? And why? It's impossible to know. It could be some aberrant behavior that they just naturally have. They could be off their rockers to a certain extent.
Or some philosophical thing they feel about other isms, communism or jihadism, Muslims.
Yeah, or they have some kind of, they want to pick some kind of fight with our own government. But usually it boils down to they want to have some sort of immortality, even though it involves killing themselves.
A child early on finds some reason that he wants.
Well, I think everybody has that kind of thing that they have in them, but in certain people, they want to, for instance, you have a lot of suicide murders because people. They somehow think that they are going to get some pleasure after they're dead from the notoriety.
Okay, that's a whole even bigger subject because the people who try to destroy our country are influenced by some cultural thing, I think.
Yes, but my own personal feeling about this sort of thing that goes back to the assassination of Kennedy, because I was in Dallas for a long time, and I knew that temperament. I'm a Southerner myself, and I knew what kind of atmosphere and what kind of discussions were going on with a lot of people in that area, and in a certain way, not that these people would have done what Oswald did. But Oswald sensed some kind of approval that he would get from assassinating John Kennedy, and that came from a general sense of a lot of people who hated Kennedy for his political things. Not that they were hated him to the extent of...
But as you're speaking about this, I think that we are breeding a generation, even now, of people who will do anything, horrible things, in order to be famous.
Yes.
It's a passion for that 15 minutes of fame.
Well, it is the simplest way. You don't have to work a lifetime. You don't have to spend 4 years in college to get a degree in establishing yourself forever in the history books. All you have to do is to do some terrible, terrible deed that requires no sense no compassion, no great courage, or it's the cheapest way to give yourself historical significance, and that's a danger. That's a terrible danger. That's
Well,
what causes, I think.
You did take this to what I was wondering how you felt about this. I'm glad
Yeah.
you explained that.
Yes.
Thank you, John.
Well, you're welcome. It's not a topic that I like to think about too much, but it's one that we all have to think about.
But we're dealing with it. We're seeing it
Yeah.
more and more.
And one of the best ways to deal with it is for us all to promulgate a sense of fairness and equality and belief and love of our fellow man.
I love my fellow man.
Well, I love my fellow woman. And we'll see you next week. If you'll join us, thank you. So long.
This is AI.R. See you next week.